Hello and welcome to another video, and in this video we are going to talk about Emmet. It is actually an extension to the code editors. You can use it with all the popular code editors like Visual Studio Code, Atom, Bracket, Sublime Text, or even with Notepad++. So what it really does? It allows us to work faster with HTML and CSS. There are so many shortcuts in Emmet, we can use it to fasten our coding speed multiple times. If you have never used this extension, please give it a try. If you don't like it, then you don't need to use it. But I think you will find it very helpful while writing codes. This is one of the most favorite extensions of the web developers. I will be using Visual Studio Code in this video because it is my favorite code editor, and the VS Code has Emmet pre-installed. So if you are using VS Code, then you don't need to install it again. But if you are using any other code editors, you need to go to the home page of Emmet. This is the official website of Emmet. This is the URL is emmet.io. If you go to the download page from here, you will get multiple options and you need to download the version which is suitable for your code editors. As you can see, there are versions for almost all the code editors out there, such as Bracket, Sublime Text, Atom. You can download it from here and go to the extension section of the code editors you are using and install the Emmet. Then you are fine to go with the Emmet. I have been using Emmet for several years now. There are thousands of shortcuts that you can use, but some of them are not really practical. It's hard to remember some complex shortcut then apply it. On the doc page, which is this cheat sheet here, you can find all of the shortcuts. There are thousands of them and you can go through them and try it out, but I cannot show you the application of all of these shortcuts. So in this video I will only show you the shortcuts I found most useful. I use this all of the time. These are the simplest one and you can start applying them right away. So let's get started. Now I am going to open a new folder in our desktop, and I am going to open this folder by the Visual Studio Code, which is the code editor I am going to use. But if you are using any other code editor, you can use them also. Now this folder is empty, so we need to create some files inside it. Let's do that. Let's open an index.html file and also an style.css. Now let's start from the beginning. At first, when we are creating an HTML page, we need to add some starter templates, right? So there will be the doc type, title, head tag, body tag, HTML tag, etc. Typing all of this repeatedly can be boring. Emmet can help us with that. So if we just put an exclamatory sign and hit tab, it will expand like this. So the tab key here is the trigger of Emmet. Whatever shortcut you put down, then you need to hit the tab and it will expand. We can change the title from here. So it has added the doc type, HTML language, head tag, and with some meta, and also head tag, body tag, like that. We can use Emmet to autocomplete the HTML tags, such as if I want to put an div tag, we just need to type div and then hit tab, it will just autocomplete. And any other tab like paragraph tag or JSON tag, we just need to put the tag name, then we can hit tab and it will expand and complete the ending tag. In this case, there are some shortcuts available for larger tag name, such as block code, figure caption, iframe, footer, header. Such as in case of block code, we don't need to type all of the block code here and then hit tab. We can just type BQ, then hit tab, it will be block code. And same in the case of footer, it will be FOO, then tab. For header is DR, then tab. For figure, it will be FIG, then tag. For figure caption, FIG C, then tab. For iframe, it will be IFR, then tag, and it will add some attributes with it such as search and frame border. For the anchor tag, there are some options available here. If you just type A and then hit tab, it will be a link, so it will add an hyperreference with it automatically. You don't need to select it. If you want to add some mail with the anchor tag, you can just put A for the anchor tag, then and colon and mail. It will add the hyperreference and mail too, so you can add your email address in here. And there are some other options available, as you can see in the suggestion, such as if you want to make it blank, we can do that. Suppose we want to add this style.css in here, so if you want to just put link and css, it will add the default style.css, and it will also add a relationship of style sheet. Now these are the shortcuts. That is pretty simple, and some of the code editors already have this functionality. Without using Emmet or not, you can do that. So let's dive deeper into the functions of Emmet. Most of the time I use Emmet to add a class name or ID with an element. So how we can do that? We just need to put the tag name first, then we need to add a symbol, and in this case you already know in CSS the class is represented by a dot and an ID will be represented by hat. Tag name first. Suppose we want a div with a class name of container, let's do that. So it will be div and a dot to add a class, then the class name, which is in this case is container. Then you can hit tab and it will be div with the class of container. We can add the ID at the same manner, so it will be the same, but in this case it will be an hash. Then we can hit tab and it will add the ID. We can use Emmet to add multiple class and ID with a single element. Suppose we want some class and ID with the h2 tag, so the tag name will be first h2, then we can add our class name, class on, class 2, and suppose we want some ID also, so it will be hash, then the ID name, ID on, then if you want to add another ID, it will be ID2, and this is it. So it has added the class on, class 2 and ID2 with this same element. Now if we want to add some content inside the element, we can also do that. Suppose we want some content inside an h1 tag. For that we need to use the curly bracket here, then we can add our text that we want to add inside it. So this is a simple header, then we can hit tab and this text will be added inside an opening and finishing tag of h1. Now the second most important thing you need to learn about Emmet, to use the child elements or nesting elements. Suppose we want a nav bar, so it will be nav, then ul, then li, then a. So we can do it pretty easily by a simple shortcut. So let's first add the nav, then we need to use the angle bracket, which is the greater than sign, and we want the ul after the nav tag, so it will be ul, then again the greater than sign, then li, and you can add an anchor tag. So this is it. So it has added the nav tag, and inside it will be the ul, then li, and this li has an anchor tag. Suppose we want multiple li inside an ul, we can also do that. So it will be the same nav, ul, li, and then we need to put the multiplication sign, then the number we want. So suppose we want 4 li inside it, then each of them will have an anchor tag. Let's put tab, and here we are. There are 4 list elements inside an unordered list. Now suppose we want to add some classes with the list item, and each of the list item will have a class. So it will be the same as before. It will be nav, ul, li, and then the class name, then a, and we can multiply it by 4 or 5 to make it 5 times. Then hit tab. So each of them has a class of this class name, but it is pretty difficult to rename all of this. So suppose we want to add an peculiar class name to each of them, we can do that by Emmet. So it will be the same nav, another list, then list item, then we need to add the class name. Suppose we want the class name to be item 1, item 2, item 3, like that. So it will be the item, then we need to use the $sign. This $sign will be used by Emmet as a placeholder. So Emmet will replace the $sign by 1, 2, 3, 4, and how many items do you have, it will number them accordingly. Then we want this to be suppose 7 times, then an anchor tag. Let's hit tab, and now each of them has a class name of item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4, 5, 6, 7, like that. So we can apply this very easily, and this comes pretty handy while creating an markup by HTML. We can also add attributes by Emmet. Suppose I want to add an attribute of title inside a paragraph tag. By default it will not happen because paragraph tag doesn't have a title attribute. To add an attribute, we need to use the third bracket. Then we can add our attribute here. So the attribute name is title. We need to add our value. So the value will be such as hello world. Then we can hit tab, and it will have an attribute of title with it. There are one more thing which can be pretty handy while you are coding with HTML. It is the Lorem Ipsum, and you already know what is Lorem Ipsum. It is a dummy text which we can use to create a template. So in order to input an Lorem Ipsum text, we need to go to the Lorem Ipsum website, then grab the text from here. But with Emmet we can do it pretty easily. So it will be Lorem. Then how many word do you want? Suppose I want 15 word. We can hit 15, then hit tab. So this is the 15 word. We want 50 word. We can also do that. It will be Lorem 50 and tab. So they are added. So this is almost everything I have been using in HTML. So now let's move on to the style.css, and Emmet has literally hundreds of shortcuts for CSS. So let's try out some shortcuts in here. So in case of positioning, the default value in Emmet is the position of relative. So if you type POS and hit tab, it will be position relative. And if you want to add the position of absolute, you can also do that by typing POS, then a colon and relative. So it will be R, or for static it will be S, absolute it will be A. Then you can hit tab and it will be position absolute. You can also make the position fixed by using F. For top, right, bottom and left, you can use the first letter. For top it will be T, for left it will be L, for right it will be R, and for bottom it will be B. We can also add the value. Suppose we want the top value to be auto. We can use the T, then the colon and A for auto. Let's hit tab and it will add the top of auto. For Z index it will be Z. Hit tab and it will get the Z index. For display it will be just at the position. The default value is display block, and if you want to add the display of none, it will be D colon N, and it will add the display none. For fixed it will be F, but for inline fix or inline block it will be the first letter. So inline fix IF and display inline block IB. Hit tab and it will be inline block. For visibility, V will add the visibility, and default value will be hidden. But if you want to make them visible, you need to use an clone V for visible, and it will be visible. For margin and padding, we can use the first letter also, M for margin, and if you want to make the margin to be auto, it will be M colon A. For padding it will be the same, P, and if you want to add the margin or padding in a specified direction, we can also do that. For padding right it will be PR, for margin right it will be MR, just like the bootstrap. For box sizing it will be BXZ, and the default value is border box, so it will add the border box. In case of the properties of font, we can also use Emmet. F will be for font, and this is the default value on M and sans serif. We can also add the font weight by FW, and the default value will be normal. And if you want to add the font weight of bold, it will be FW, which is the for font weight, then a colon and B for bold. For bolder, it will be font weight colon BR, then it will be bolder. For font family, it will be FF. This is the default value, which will be serif. These are the smaller on, and you actually don't need to use Emmet for that because they are pretty small. But in case of large property names such as background color, background image, you need to type all of these things, so we can use Emmet for that. For background, it will be BG. It will add this black color by default. For background image, it will be BG and I. You can hit tab and it will add the background image and also an URL. For background repeat, it will be BGR and the default value will be no repeat. For background attachment, it will be BGA. Background position will be BGP because background position P, so it's a P. In case of the colors, C is for the color. For content, it will be CNT and it will add a content of blank. And if you want to add an attribute as in content, it will be CNT colon and A for attribute. For borders, it will be BD, not BF, BD. So this is the default value, you can change it from here. And if you want to make the border none, it will be BD colon N, so it will add the border none. We can also add the border color, so it will be BD and C for color, so BDC. It will add a border color. Border image will be BDI. So in most of the case, you can use just only the first letter and it will work just fine. So these are the shortcuts I have been using and you can use it right away. At first it will feel difficult to remember the shortcuts and use it, but if you just try it for a few days, it will get familiar and you will get used to it. You can save lots of time of coding by just using the shortcuts, and after that you can go through the cheat sheet and I will add the link below, and over time you can learn new shortcuts and try it out. But I think if you just use these few shortcuts, because we use this most of the time, like 99% time, so it will be enough for you to fasten your work. If you like this video, please subscribe and give it a thumbs up and give it a like. I'm just starting out in this YouTube channel and I need all the support I can get, and I will be continuously uploading new videos, so please click the bell icon below so that you will get the notification whenever I upload a new video. And thank you for watching. See you in the next one and take care.